All right, everyone, welcome back to another one of our film reviews. Today, we are breaking down Browns rookie tackle Dawand Jones, who is now going to be replacing the injured Conklin. Hopefully, he recovers next season with an ACL injury, but it's Dawand Jones's opportunity now. We're going to break down his performance against the Cincinnati Bengals and why we think the Browns will be okay with Jones at his position. He showed a lot of good stuff, some stuff to work on, but overall, a lot of good stuff for the Browns going forward. As always, leave us a like or a comment with your feedback in the comment section below. But without further ado, let's get into the film. All right, first up, we're going to start with two pass protection reps here for Jones because I think this is the strength of the game, of his game, and I think this is what the Browns are really going to be excited about him. And here we see Jones right here, the big guy, number 79, matchup one-on-one against the Browns veteran defensive end Hubbard right there, who's a really nice football player. I mean, I'm a Browns fans out there, you may not be as fond as Hubbard as I am, but I think he's a really great player. And I think this was a really good matchup and opportunity to show what Jones can do in these situations. And overall, he did an outstanding job against Hubbard. Let's go right into it and check out his first few reps. All right, let's watch this. It's pretty good, right? I love the patience with Jones. Takes his time. When you're this big and this strong, you don't need to attack. Stay patient. He'll come to you. You're so long and strong. Eventually, a defensive end will force himself to make a move. And because he's so big, I guarantee you these guys, these defensive linemen, especially Hubbard, they're not looking for a bull rush because you're not going to win that matchup as honestly as big and strong as Jones is. So again, patient, maintain strong base, push him upfield. I mean, that is 100% victory for Jones there. Not even close. These kind of rep right here, that's first round pick offensive tackle. That's Pro Bowl quality starting reps here against a really nice player for the Cincinnati Bengals in Hubbard. And we're going to go right into the second pass protection rep. And again, you see him right there again, one-on-one, totally covered up. No chance. I mean, this is awesome stuff. It's total domination in the pass protection game. And look, I get it. Is there things technically maybe better? Yes. His punch isn't absolutely perfect. Maybe his kick step isn't exactly the way you'd want it. His base maybe gets a little too narrow at times, yada, yada, yada. But in terms of just getting his timing and the spacing, which to me is the most important thing for offensive linemen in these situations, especially young guys. A lot of young guys, they're too overeager. They get too deep too fast, or they're too slow. They just don't have the athleticism and they get beat around the edge. Jones right here is a guy who's got incredible natural timing. He just is so patient, so calm, and he's a good enough athlete in pass protection where he doesn't have to worry about flying out of his stance. I mean, he won these kind of matchups against Hubbard all day against the Cincinnati Bengals, and that's a great sign for this Browns offense going forward.
Yeah, Nick, and let's just focus on the obvious one here. Last film review we did of him, it was preseason. It was against nobodies. This is against the real deal, against a Bengals team who's highly formidable, against Hubbard, who is an excellent pass rusher. It's just even more vindicating for Browns fans, isn't it, Nick? That this guy, he's doing it against the best in the league now and showing that he is a very, very good tackle. And it looks like they got this draft pick 100% right, wouldn't you say?
He is a natural pass protector, and there are some people that aren't. There's some people that are. There's some people that look like they should be. You know, they have all the right physical tools. Some guys even have amazing footwork and hand placement, but they get in the game and they just get bowled over and they just get beat time and time again. Dawand Jones, again, not perfect technically. I mean, as big and strong as he is, obviously there's some things that just, he's like a 7-footer in basketball. There's going to be a little bit of awkwardness flexibility wise because of how big he is. But I tell you what, he's just a natural at these kind of plays. And with reps like these, this right side of this Browns offensive line and pass protection is going to be really good. All right, staying with pass protection here, we showed one-on-one reps with Jones, which is, of course, a big part of pass protection from the tackle position. But another element here is working with your fellow offensive linemen to pick up stunts, twists, and any other games. We call games the action that defensive linemen work up front with each other that sort of ends and what ends and tackles do, kind of different stunts to try and get free and get pressure on the quarterback. Picking up those games and passing them off between each other is a really critical task for any offensive lineman, and especially young guys. Working here with Jones and 77, the savvy veteran. Again, empty set, no help. It's these two guys have got to pick up these two right here. We're going to see a game here from the Cincinnati Bengals. We're going to get Hubbard's going to work up here like this and then quickly come around. We're going to get the 3 technique. I call him a 3 technique, even though he's a little wider than the outside shoulder. He's going to kind of start vertical and then work outside here. This is important here for Jones to see that pick up that 3 technique coming to him, but make sure he stays even with Hubbard long enough to make sure that his right guard right next to him can pick up Hubbard coming around. Let's see how he does here. And watch this. Beautiful. Textbook stuff. Now, I will admit it's a quick game under because there's no running back with Watson right here, so it was going to be a quick throw anyway. But in the case it would have been a longer developing play, or if that's say the quick read wasn't open right away, they still had this beautifully picked up. Again, look at how patient Jones is. And I guarantee you, right there, 92, just lets him come to him. On the previous plays, when he was one-on-one against Hubbard, he was letting Hubbard come to him and doing a phenomenal job picking it up. It's the exact same technique. Let's 92 come to him. And one thing I love about this, Jones, it's really hard to see here, but he actually slows down his kick step in terms of how he's working in his pass protection to make sure he doesn't get ahead of Hubbard, because Hubbard isn't committing to go upfield as much on these kind of plays, obviously, because he's working a stunt. So he slows it down a little bit, which allows 92 to come to him and allows his guard to stay on the same plane. You see how he doesn't get too deep? See how they're pretty much on the same plane? Obviously, Jones is a little deeper, but it allows 77 to pick up Hubbard easily and cleanly. And Mize, look at, I mean, you talk about a picture-perfect pocket right there up front. I mean, this is a very good Bengals defense. This is an experienced, savvy, tough, physical group. And this Browns offensive line just dominated them all game. And this is just a great example of that.
Yeah, Nick, you could basically paste that pocket in any offensive line room and say, hey, this is exactly what we're going for. And they did just that. The thing that stands out to me is this, for me at least, Nick, this seems like a little bit of a more tricky situation as far as the blitzing goes. And he gets the handoff of the defensive tackle from Teller very nicely, picks it up. Nothing really fools them. They stick with their men. They go with the game plan, and just shows that even though he got thrust into the game in very unfavorable situation, I think that he's blending with this offensive line, and it seems like they've been playing for a very long time. What do you say?
Well, like I said, Mice, he's a natural, because one of the things people may not realize is that during the regular season, outside of the first string players on either offense or defense, the backups don't get any reps or very few reps working on stuff for the game plan. They're usually working on some scout team deals. They may work some reps with the game plan, but very, very few. So Jones didn't really work this, or if he did this week of practice, did it very, very little. But if you watch how he executes it, it's almost like he was a starter. And that's because he's a natural player at pass protection. All right, switching up to a little run game here. Obviously, the Browns run the football extremely well, and Dawand Jones is going to have to do his fair share in the running game. And here we've got just a normal zone blocking scheme working to our left. The offense is right. What you're going to get is you're just going to get zone action from everybody up front here, working up here. And the goal is to get backside scoops there, is for Chubb here to read it and get vertical to find a seam where he can. One of the important blocks here is obviously going to be Dawand Jones on number 94, Hubbard, who, again, is an outstanding player. And this is a tough situation because as much as you'd love to reach this defensive end, that's just not happening. I mean, if this defensive end got reached, he'd be cut almost immediately. But one of the things you really want to do is expand him and get movement horizontally, because that'll widen open potential cutback rooms for the running back here. Let's see how Dawand Jones doing that. Again, we're trying to get expansion here out of the defensive end. Drives him. Look at that. That's actually my mistake here. There's actually a really good action here. I love this play scheme. You have the tight end who's actually going to work across the field to act almost as a back block to open up a cutback room there. But again, watch Jones expand it. Watch him drive his feet. Look how much he expands. Again, go back to the very beginning here. Look at what Hubbard starts, right? Look at this point right here. He's basically 4 or 5 yards away from the hash. Look at where he ends up. He's outside the numbers, well outside the numbers. That is expanding the hole right there. And what that does is it forces everybody else to run. Now, up front, this is one of these situations during the game where the other Browns offensive lineman didn't do as good a job. Again, didn't quite get on the linebacker there that kind of blew this play up. But again, expanding the hole from Dawand Jones's perspective will force so much movement from opposing defenses that a lot of cutbacks will be open there. And this is what he can bring to the table. He's so big and strong, and I really like the way he drives his feet. Again, technically not perfect, but I tell you what, in terms of the end result, look how far he's driving Hubbard. This is a grown man who's really good at football, and he's driving 10, 12, 15 yards off the spot. That's a great rep from the rookie right here.
Yeah, Nick, I think Dawand Jones, once again, in run defense as well, he's looked like he is absolutely figured it out. He's 100% ready to go here. And it helps Nick Chubb back there, an excellent running back. But I think that this team is just looking really good. Jones, like you said, he looks like a monster on the field. We're talking about Sam Hubbard here. This is a guy coming out of Ohio State. He's been the picture of consistency the last 6 years through the NFL, this being his sixth year. He's got mid 60s to upper 60s PFF grades every single season. This guy is just a really solid player. And Jones, like you said, is grown manning him like he's his dad, like driving him all the way across the field. This is something special, isn't it?
Well, and why that really matters in terms of being that physically dominant is look how the Browns have this set up. You're going to see the wide receiver, Donovan Peoples-Jones. He's actually inserting to block the linebacker. Now, look, I love the effort from Peoples-Jones. He's a nice physical wide receiver, but he's not expected to get a lot of movement, obviously, against the linebacker number 55. So what this basically does is it sets up this point right here is basically the seal of the hole, the rightward edge of the hole that Nick Chubb or whoever's running the football can expect to cut back. Now, of course, Chubb, if he really saw something, could cut back further. But in terms of the overall play design, right here is the beginning of the hole. In terms of how wide the hole gets, the other end is going to be Dawand Jones on this block. If he doesn't get much movement, if it's kind of a stalemate in here, this hole becomes a mess. And you can see what happens. There's kind of a stalemate right here. It kind of clogs up the hole. But if you get movement right here, which is what we're seeing from Jones, it widens it out and it creates an opportunity from Chubb. If the Browns have blocked this up a little bit better, this would have been a huge play because of what Jones is doing. All right, we've been talking a lot about what Dawand Jones really does well, and he's done a lot of things well, or did a lot of things well, I should say, against the Cincinnati Bengals. Here's an example of something he really needs to work on because he can really hurt the Browns offense with reps like these. So here we're having the Browns run kind of a very interesting situation. We're getting both the play side guard and the center are going to pull. The backside guard is going to cut the nose guard. Really tough job here. Backside tackle, cutting the three technique. The other pivotal block here is Dawand Jones. He's got to get a really good back block on this three technique, play side three technique. You call him the three again because he's on the outside shoulder of the guard there. This is a pivotal block. He's got to make sure there's not a lot of penetration and that 98 doesn't work across his face and potentially get in the play. This is not a hard block, but it's a block that is a mandatory for this kind of play to work from a right tackle. Let's see what Dawand Jones does here. Ugh. That's just really bad. I'm sorry. I mean, this is a guy who's did a really good job overall. This is just you talk about the other reps being first round pick, Pro Bowl quality reps in terms of pass protection. This is a guy that shouldn't be on the team with blocks like that. That's how bad of a play this is. Now, again, rookie, first game, inexperienced, thrown into the limelight. There's going to be some bad. I mean, we see it all the time from rookie quarterbacks, right? These guys come in, they throw really ugly interceptions. That's the equivalent of what you're going to get from an offensive lineman. But man, I mean, it just doesn't even really lay a hand on them. Totally blows up the play. These are the kind of plays that they're going to have to clean up. It doesn't have to be perfect. We talk about it all the time. Give your guy a chance. Doesn't have to blow him up, doesn't have to drive him off the ball, but at least get a hand on him, at least slow him down. That way you can at least run the play for some sort of success. This has to be cleaned up. And look, it probably will be. Again, rookie, first game, thrown in there. It's going to happen. These are the reps that are really going to have to be cleaned up here from Dawand Jones and this Browns offense.
Yeah, Nick. And I think, like you said, this will get cleaned up. This is a great teachable moment, something, they're going to get on them in the film room. Like, hey, very low effort play here. You got to get on this one. But there's not too much to say about this other than the fact that they're going to get on this guy. He's going to improve. And, what for not being a rookie thrust into the game like this, there are going to be mistakes. You'd have to expect something like this. But I think just overall, teachable moment, and this has got to be something he's going to learn from, wouldn't you say, Nick?
You would think so, right? This is a guy who's played a lot of great college ball. He's obviously was picked by the Browns, played well in the preseason, did a lot of good things against the Bengals. So this is not like a guy who lucked into being a football player. He knows how to play. I think this is a guy who's in this terms of this rep, he doesn't look confident in himself at all. Honestly, I don't even know if he was 100% sure what the play was or something like that because he just kind of steps out there and just kind of, it looks confused, looks out of sorts. I'm hoping this was just one bad rep, cleaned up in the film room, cleaned up with practice and more repetitions, but it has to, because that's just not going to get it done. All right, last rep of this cut up. Again, we're going to end on a good one. We always like to here. And here we see Dawand Jones again, going from a different angle. He's right there. We got the side view here. He's right there at right tackle. And this is going to be an outside run this direction by the Cleveland Browns. I just want to focus really just on Jones here in this situation, because his job is really just backside cutoff. He's trying to see if there's going to be a defensive lineman in his gap. If not, he's going to work up the field and try and get a hand and cut off this linebacker. But I want to just show you, this shows just his raw strength and power and just an element he can bring to this offense. So watch him fire up, no one in that gap. Literally shoves him 5 yards back. Again, it doesn't look that impressive just because Jones is so big and strong. It just doesn't look like a lot's going on. But look how far 57 gets shoved back. Contact made right there. What? Maybe the plus 46, plus 46 and a half. Look where 57 ends up. The plus 41. That's 6 yards. Maybe even a little more. Driven back off the line, just straight flat. You want to see running plays break out for big runs? That's how you do it. Really well blocked on the play side as well. But again, nice job. Gets a good shove. And again, 57 doesn't do the smart thing here. What you'd really like for your linebacker when he gets shoved like this badly, just say, hey, listen, stay flat. You got beat. Make the play for a 10-yard run. So that way it's not a 20-yard run. But again, this is because of Dawand Jones. Right? If he doesn't get there, 57 has a chance to make this play for an 8 or 9 yard, maybe a 10-yard run. Instead, it's about a 20-yard run. This is what he can bring to the table. Raw strength, power, good athleticism on this one too. Gives his team a chance to be successful. Again, like we talked about before, offensive lineman, you've got to give your team a chance to be successful. Let's check it out from the end zone view here. Excuse me. Let's check it out here from the end zone view here. Again, you see Dawand Jones. Shove him, work him upfield. You don't get a true sense for how much he gets driven back on this angle. That's why I like the sideline view for this one. But again, you can see 57 never even gets remotely close enough to even come close to making the play. Does it look like a highlight reel play? Yeah, maybe not. Won't make top 10 or anything like that. Won't dominate Twitter. But this will get the job done because they block it so good. Look at that hole. You cut off the backside guy. Ends up being a really successful run. This will get it done. This is a nice effort by Dawand Jones, and he'll only get better from here.
Yeah, Nick, and it looks like Jones ran almost 20 yards on this play on his own. Like I said, with every bad play, there's a good play. He's ending on a great one here. Like you said, high effort. He's really moving, getting the linebacker 57 way back there. But this was just a great play like Jones, and I like the athleticism. I like the hustle here. Like you say, he isn't guarding grass. He's always looking, going up the next level, trying to follow his man all the way down. And this is just huge for the Browns running game to have a guy like Jones in here, wouldn't you say, to blow these plays up and like give your guy a chance. This, like you said, this turned a potential 8-yard run into a 20-yard run just off of Jones' block alone.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things. And before I answer your comment there, I just love where his head's at generally. Watch what he does with his hand first. See how it's kind of, you don't really notice it at first. He kind of sticks his hand out left, like he's kind of checking for something there. I guarantee you he had looked there first. You know, what they like to say that your hands follow your eyes. So he kind of looks inside to make sure that defensive tackle doesn't come out to him. So again, shows he knows what he's got to do. He's got to check to make sure no one comes in the B gap from the defensive line. If no one's there, work up to the linebacker. That's exactly what he does. And again, obviously he's replacing a starter who was a really good player. I like Conklin. Jones has a lot of things to work on. But I tell you what, a lot of what he did against the Bengals, first of all, Pro Bowl looking pass protector. And if he can continue to get reps like these where he's giving his guy a chance, the Browns will be fine here with Dawand Jones taking a starting role.